Coming up next on 13 ABC Action News at 5.
Searching for the suspect in a late-night murder that left a 23-year-old Toledo woman dead.
There's growing optimism that both sides in Washington are close to a deal to avert a default.
And a generous gift gets people who are homeless and struggling connected to the internet and hopefully connected to jobs.
Well, we're expecting dry weather for tonight, but this rain in the Plain States moving our way, arriving at the latest by midweek.
And we begin tonight with Toledo's latest homicide. A 23-year-old woman is dead. The suspect still on the run at this hour. Welcome into Action News at 5. I'm Lee Conklin.
And I'm Diane Larson. Thank you for joining us. It happened last night at an apartment complex in the 1900 block of West Alexis in Toledo. 13 ABC's Mackenzie Keyline has been tracking the story and has the latest on this homicide.
Gunshots were heard as early as 11 o'clock Sunday night at Tamaron Apartments. Shortly after, detectives were on scene all night long and into the early morning hours after getting a call of gunshots being fired and people arguing. When they arrived, 23-year-old Jordan Jones was found dead inside her apartment.
I know it's so close to home. I was like, what's going on around here? Oh my God.
Monetta Stiles lives just 3 doors down from where the crime occurred. Stiles says she was sitting in her living room when she heard shots being fired.
I thought it was just the power outage because my whole side of my apartment just, it's shattered.
A source close to the investigation tells 13 ABC this could be a case of domestic violence. Stiles says this has her worried. She has been living here for 5 years and describes this as a quiet neighborhood.
I'm pretty comfortable over here, so I was really just shocked that it was, like that.
Another resident who does not want to be shown on camera for safety concerns is rethinking the place she calls home.
Even though it was like not some random stuff, but still it's close to home. It makes you wonder if it's time to move.
Reporting in Toledo, Mackenzie Keyline, 13 ABC Action News.
There are still no arrests or any suspects being named at this time.
Now at 5, 2 Bowling Green State University are in custody after an armed robbery in Bowling Green. BGSU students Thomas James and Thomas Calais are suspected of robbing 2 other men inside an apartment. It happened on North Enterprise near campus. 3 suspects total were involved, and at least 1 had a gun, according to police. Robbery was drug-related. Police say the suspects bolted from the scene with marijuana and cash.
A Libyan terrorist suspect who was held on a U.S. warship is now in the country. U.S. Special Forces snatched Abu Anas al-Libi during a raid in Libya earlier this month. He was under a federal indictment in New York for more than a decade. He's expected to stand trial for his suspected involvement in the bombings of U.S. embassies in Africa back in 1998.
Still no end in sight to the government shutdown, but things are getting a little bit more optimistic. White House says a meeting between the president and congressional leaders was postponed, giving Senate leaders a little more time to resolve a standoff.
Both the House and the Senate worked through the weekend. Neither came into session before noon today, even as the clock ticks. Today, President Obama joined some furloughed federal workers who've been volunteering at a D.C. soup kitchen. The president says while negotiations have resulted in some progress, he says it doesn't make sense to use the threat of default as leverage.
If Republicans aren't willing to set aside some of their partisan concerns in order to do what's right for the country, we stand a good chance of defaulting. And defaulting would have a potentially devastating effect on our economy.
What grade are you guys at?
The charity that the president visited is also offering assistance to federal employees who are not being paid and need emergency aid. The Senate's top leaders expressed hope today, saying that they are optimistic they're closing in on an agreement.
Constructive good faith negotiations continue between the Republican leader and me. I'm very optimistic that we will reach an agreement that's reasonable in nature this week.
Everybody else hopes so too. The Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell echoed Reid's comments. Both leaders were tight-lipped, though, about details of their talks today.
And some Republican senators say a deal actually is 70 to 80% done. They're also reluctant to talk too much about it.
We're not going to release any details until we have an agreement. I hope we will have an agreement. We're making progress toward an agreement, but we're not there yet.
And we do know the plan would temporarily fund the government to end the shutdown and also raise the federal borrowing limit, the so-called debt ceiling, for a limited time.
Tension in Washington building outside the Capitol this weekend. Group of veterans calling themselves the Million Vet March took matters into their own hands. They reopened the Lincoln Memorial. At least for a moment, the group marched to the White House where they clashed with police. Other national monuments across the country, that is, reopened thanks to state and local governments. Among them, the Grand Canyon and the Statue of Liberty.
Well, signs of a possible deal in the works, pushing stocks higher to start out the week. Today, the Dow Jones Industrials rising 64 points to close at 15,301. The market started lower this morning after news that Congress didn't make that much progress over the weekend.
Well, with the ups and downs of Wall Street, what should you most be concerned about in terms of your investments? Today, 13 ABC asked registered financial consultant Alan Lance for his take on the government shutdown.
The most important thing is that they don't panic. And, right now it's a situation where the markets have been going down, but they started talks last week, Thursday and Friday. The markets were up tremendously. Use that euphoria to reduce risk. Don't panic into negative news.
And Lance says the last thing you should do is sell because the markets are down. Stick to a strategy and make sure to be proactive instead of reactive.
Well, some problems continue for healthcare.gov this week, where thousands of people are registering, or at least trying to register for health insurance under the new healthcare law.
I put in my username and password and it didn't recognize it.
Affordable Care Act rolled out about 2 weeks ago. Error messages like page not found and system down continue to pop up for users. Some experts worry fixing it could take a long time. There's always the old-fashioned option of enrolling over the phone or using regular or snail mail. Another glitch is repaired. The debit-style food stamps program is working again after a technical problem crashed the system in 17 states. Problems began Saturday and Xerox fixed them, what it calls a system outage, late in the day. Ohio, Michigan, and Illinois among the states that experienced the problem. Zero problems on the weather front.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Problems everywhere. Nobody can complain about this weather that we've had right here in beautiful Northwest Ohio.
Right. And let's get to Chief Meteorologist Jay Burschback has a first look. Jay?
Yeah, not a bad day out there, not a bad weekend by any stretch of the imagination. And the hits, they keep coming this evening. We still have those mainly clear skies. So our weather story. Rain is moving in our direction. Might want to grab the rain gear before you head to work or school tomorrow just in case. We'll have more updates on that in a few minutes. Cooling down behind the system, we'll go from highs near 70 to highs only in the 50s, and then staying cool for the weekend with more chances for raindrops. We'll have updates on that in just a bit.
United Healthcare is helping others with new access to technology.
United Healthcare Community Plan of Ohio donating 50 computers to the Cherry Street mission, including high-speed internet.
This donation helps those in need reach out to the community by giving them access to anything from jobs to healthcare services.
Educate one of the many ways you can fight poverty. When we help people gain their education, give them resources and tools like new computers in order to be able to job search, complete their GED requirements.
The donation was made possible by United Healthcare's Community Computers program. Lincoln Elementary School in Adrian has a new outdoor education center thanks to alum Sam Beal. The new center was dedicated to the school this afternoon. It offers students a different approach to the subjects they're learning. Beal made the gift to the Adrian School's Educational Foundation, especially for this project.